Hi, this is Becky Gromlich, and this is the splashy bird that we're going to be painting in this class. He's a lot of fun, and I've tried to capture the joy of him playing and hope you can too. One of the things that came up in this painting is that I had decided to make it an ocean scene, and so I had originally painted a horizon line along here. Well, then one of my students pointed out that this is not an ocean bird. This is more like a bird bath bird or a creek bird. And so I changed my mind, put in some rocks, and tried to make this look more like a creek. I also totally redid the sky from the very first sky. Some other issues came up throughout it, and one of the things that I never do is I never practice these paintings ahead of time for these classes. And the reason for that is so that my students can see how I solve problems. And every painting has problems that come up. Yours will too. And a big part of successful watercolor painting is solving those problems. I hope you have a lot of fun in this class and that you come up with a great painting. For starters, we're going to trace, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And the way that I line up this paper, the picture's smaller than the page, and so I've kind of put the head of the bird into the top third part to help the composition improve. But I still want the bird a little bit to the right because he's looking to the left. Then I've taped him down so he won't move, and put my transfer paper with the dark side down, and then I'm going to start tracing. Now I don't know what this is, so I'm not putting it in. I'm going to make a horizon line about here, and probably won't put this either, but I want all these splashes, except maybe that one, because it's going to take your eye away from the page. And I'm going to do these little shapes in here, pretty detailed. So like this one, I'm outlining the dark part and then putting a little white part inside. And especially here and here, I want the water to be quite detailed. The rest of it can be a lot less detailed. Where there's these feathers that go across the light and dark, we're going to use some frisket, so I'm going to actually put them in the drawing so I know where to put the frisket later. I'm not going to do all of these little feather lines because they don't normally show, and it would make the painting take so incredibly long that we're not going to do that. But anywhere where it goes across another color, we'll put some of these little feather lines. Then this area, I'm going to just do a jaggedy line around it, and then this area as well. And anywhere where there's different shades of paint, you want to have it drawn in so that you can later on just paint. It's hard to tell where the bird ends, but it won't matter if you get the water right under it pretty accurate in your drawing and painting. Before you get too far, like before you get as far as I just did, it's good to look and see what you're doing. You don't want your paper to be indented. You don't want to press so hard it's indented, because if you do that, you're going to have the paper will resist the paint. Okay. And make sure your lines aren't too dark when you check your paper too, because especially in these light parts of the bird, you don't want all these lines overpowering your painting. Now the splashes aren't all round, you might notice, so don't trace them all around. We're going to use frisket for some of these feathers, and I use these gum soft picks to put my frisket on. My first batch came in a little thing like this, and a brand new one is best for when you want something to be wispy, like these little wispy feathers that are on the bird right here. This is what I use, PBO drawing gum. There's other kinds of frisket though that would work fine. And because I want this to be wispy looking, I watered my whole batch of PBO gum down. I don't use frisket very often, it's very rare. And when I do, it's for fine lines. So I dipped it, touched it to the edge, and then you have to lift as you go. Dip, touch to the edge, and lift as you go.
Are you gonna put it like thick right there?
I'm not going to put it at edges like this because you can paint that fairly easily.
Okay.
And it leaves a really stark white line when you have heavy areas of it. So I usually use it for hair. And I also will use it for these bubbles thing. You have to lift as you go. You do this kind of an action. It doesn't work like this if you don't water it down. And then these, you let it on thick. And some of these aren't exactly round, so I'm making them not be exactly round. And there you have it. That's what it looks like now. Now, some of these colored gums will leave color behind if you leave them on your paper for months and months. So we're going to be removing ours tomorrow, so it should be fine.